Hi there, my name is Jeremy Krug, and I'd like to welcome you back to another instructional video about science and chemistry. This is a site for everything honors chemistry and AP chemistry, and in this video we're learning about calculations and precision. So let's take a look at a few problems here, and we're going to see how we can make calculations and express the answer to the appropriate level of precision. So here is a typical addition question that you might have. If you were to key this into your calculator, you'd find that the answer is 99.09. Well, the rule is whenever we're adding or subtracting, you need to take a look at the decimal places that you're expressing. So in the first addend here, we have 3 decimal places, as you can see, and in the second addend, we also have 3 decimal places. So guess what? We need to be consistent. So that means that in the answer, we need to have 3 decimal places as well. Now, as you can see, the number here, 99.09, does not have that. So in order to express that correctly, we need to express this as 99.090. So that would be the correct answer if we're expressing this with the correct number of decimal places. Now, another question here, we have this problem. If we were to add this on our calculator, we'd get this number, 211.311. But once again, let's count decimal places. In the first addend, we have 2 decimal places. In the second one, we have 3. So guess what? If there's ever a conflict like this, the rule is we always go with the least. And so that means our answer can only have 2 decimal places. That means we have to stop after this next to the last one. And since this next digit, the 1, is smaller than 5, lower than 5, we're going to round down. So that means our expressed answer should be 211.31. So that's how you would solve one of these questions if there's a conflict in the number of decimal places in your 2 numbers. Now let's try this number. Here we have a subtraction, 328.40 minus 75.3. If you subtract this, you'll find that the answer is 253.1. Now once again, we're going to count decimal places. So in the first value here, we have 2 decimal places. In the second value, we only have 1 decimal place. So once again, we always go with the least. So that means our answer should have 1 decimal place. And guess what? It does as it stands. And so that is perfectly fine to express the number like that, 253.1. Now, let's try this number. Or this problem rather, 145.45 plus 54.548. So if you key this into your calculator, the calculator answer is 199.998. Well, once again, we're going to count decimal places. We have 2 decimal places in the first addend. We have 3 in the second. So how many should we have in our answer? That's right, we always go with the least. It should be 2, shouldn't it? So that means we're going to have to stop after the last 9. And since the next number is an 8, we're going to have to round up, aren't we? So that makes the correct answer 200.00. So that is our correct answer for this question. So that's what we do if we have addition and subtraction. We're looking at the number of decimal places. Well, how about multiplication? The rules for multiplication and division are a little bit different. Let's take a look at this question here. 3.204 times 0.080. So when you key this into your calculator, the answer it gives you is 0.25632. Now, for addition and subtraction, we counted decimal places. Well, for multiplication and division, we're going to count significant figures. So in the first number here, we have 4 significant figures. That middle 0 is significant, isn't it? Like we learned in the last video. And in the second number, this has 2 significant figures. Those leading zeros are not significant. The ending 0 is significant since there's a decimal point. So once again, when there's a conflict, we always go with the least, which means our answer can only have 2 significant figures. So that means we have to stop after the 5. And since the next number is a 6, we're going to have to round up. So that means that our answer is going to be 0.26 whenever we round that up. So that's our answer whenever we're multiplying. Let's try another question. This time we'll do a division question. 76,000 divided by 8.32. So when we divide this on a calculator, the answer is 9,134.615385. So a lot of digits there. We don't need that many significant digits, do we? In the first number, we have 2 significant figures. In the second number, of course, we have 3. So once again, when there's a conflict, we always go with the least, don't we? So our answer can only have 2 significant figures, which means we're going to have to stop after the first one right here. And since the next digit is a 3, we're going to round down. So rounding this to the nearest hundreds place, that becomes 9,100. Okay, just as a reminder, whenever you round off a number, you don't want to fundamentally change the number. That's why 91 is not the correct answer. 91 is not anywhere close to 9,100 and something. So that's why we have to have those ending zeros there, even though they're not significant. How about this multiplication? We have 50.3 times 2.0. So once again, we're going to multiply this on a calculator, and you'll get an answer of about 100.6. So we're counting significant figures again. So in that first number, looks like we have 3 significant figures, since that middle zero is significant. In the second value, we have 2 significant figures, since the ending zero is significant because there's a decimal point. So we go with the least, and our answer can only have 2 significant figures, which means we have to stop after that first zero, because that middle zero certainly is significant. And since the next digit is a 0, we round down. And so to the nearest tens place, this is 100. Now, as you can see, there's a little problem with that number, isn't there? The number 100, as it's written, doesn't have 2 significant figures. The way it's written, it only has 1. And some people might say, well, stick a decimal point at the end. Well, if you do that, then it has 3 significant figures. So we kind of have a problem here. How can you make the number 100 have exactly 2 significant figures? Well, there is a tool that we have that we'll learn a lot more about in our next video. It's called scientific notation. If you write this in scientific notation, all of a sudden it has 2 significant figures, doesn't it? 1.0 times 10 to the second, and that solves the problem for us. Let's take a look at this next question. 300.0 times 3.000 on your calculator, or maybe even in your head, you know that the answer is 900. But as we look at these numbers, we notice that both of them have 4 significant figures. So guess what? That means our answer also has to have 4 significant figures. But as it stands, the number 900 doesn't have 4 significant figures. In fact, it only has 1. So how can we make that number have 4 significant figures? Well, the key is we're going to have to put a decimal point and a 0 on the end, aren't we? Now, all of a sudden, all of those ending zeros become significant whenever we tack a 0.0 on the end. So now that is the correctly expressed answer. Let's take a look at a special case here. We're going to look at a problem where we have both addition and multiplication. So you might know or might remember from your math classes that there's this thing called order of operations, isn't there? And so whenever we have a multiplication and an addition in the same problem, what do we do first? Well, it's the multiplication, isn't it? So it's almost like we have an understood parentheses around the multiplication part of that. Now, when you key this into your calculator, the value for the multiplication, at least, is 33.12. But since we're multiplying, we have to respect significant figures. So 9.6 has 2 significant figures. 3.45 has 3. So what's the rule? We go with the least, don't we? So our answer can only have 2 significant figures. So that means that for this number, we have to stop after the second 3. And since the next number is a 1, we have to round down. And so to make this number have 2 significant figures, it's going to be 33. Well, now we can do the other part of this problem, the addition. So I'm going to drag down the 1.45 plus part of this. And when you add 1.45 plus 33, the answer is 34.45. Now this time, since we're adding, we have to respect decimal places, don't we? So in that first number, we have 2 decimal places. In the second one, we have, well, 0 decimal places, and we go with the least, don't we? Which means our answer can have essentially no or 0 decimal places. So we have to stop after the first 4, and since the next number is also a 4, we round down, and that rounds down to 34. And so this is how you do a problem with order of operations. Now let's take a look at another example. Whenever we are measuring something in the lab, you might wonder how we make a measurement. Well, here we have a burette. And if you haven't had a chance to look at a burette in the lab before, hopefully you'll have a chance to at some point. You might notice that it is a little bit unusual. It's a little bit different than what we're used to because a burette has 0 labeled at the top. And the numbers go up as you move down the burettes, which is a little bit opposite of what we're used to. So what is the reading of this burette in milliliters? We're going to read all of the digits that we're sure of, and we're going to estimate exactly 1 decimal place between the lines. We have to read between the lines exactly 1 decimal place. So in this burette, it's obviously between 11 and 12, isn't it? So it's 11 point something. And we can also see that it's in between 11.4 and 11.5. We always read at the bottom or the vertex of that, the meniscus, that curvature in the liquid. So it's 11.4 something. But we need to read between the lines too, don't we? So we can see that it's just barely underneath this line right here. So it's like it's 11.4, maybe 0.41, I'd say. So we can estimate that 1 decimal place between the lines. So I would say 11.41. Now, you might read that a little bit different than I would, and that's okay as long as you're consistent and as long as you're very close. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson about how we make calculations and measurements using the correct number of significant figures and the correct level of precision. If you like this video or learned something from it, please consider giving me a like. I really appreciate that. And if you really like what you see and want to see more of this, go ahead and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time.